Speaker is Larry Chretien from Mass Energy, and for those of you who don't know very much about Mass Energy, it is the premier nonprofit in Massachusetts promoting energy conservation and renewable energy for consumers. They have fantastic programs for low-cost oil heating programs, subsidies, as well as renewable energy programs, energy efficiency programs. So I've been a member for, I think, like 15 years, and membership's about $25 a year. It's a great organization. Larry's going to talk to us about how we can accomplish our goals here on Cape Ann. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, man.
Yep. You'll do the slides?
I will.
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you for allowing me to be here to talk about how you, as consumers, can go green, help Cape Ann achieve its goals, but also how your community can get mobilized to do even more than that. So if Tim could help me with the slides. Mass Energy Consumers Alliance, we're a nonprofit organization that was established in 1982. We do a lot of advocacy that's pro-consumer and pro-environment. We also, our claim to fame is that we run programs that consumers can participate in. Group purchasing of renewable energy, which is really what I'll talk about mostly today, solar energy, discount heating oil, as Tim mentioned, and energy efficiency. The points I want you to take away today is that there's opportunities for you to use less energy at home. You can bring more renewable energy onto the grid by choice, and we need to electrify automobiles and home heating. Here's a slide that's put together by a company called Synapse Energy Economics, and it's a little bit busy, but what it shows is the different ways we can reduce carbon emissions in Massachusetts and what they might cost. Starting with the left, it's a negative cost, meaning there's benefits to society of going that way. That's energy efficiency. That big block of green is energy efficiency. There's an expert called Amory Lovins who says that energy efficiency is the lunch we get paid to eat. It's better than a free lunch. And we need to do more of that. All of us at home, the community, as Matt just pointed out, these are investments that can bring a positive rate of return to ourselves. And we need to do as much of that as we possibly can before we start moving up to other items that will cost us a bit more. But we need to adopt eventually some resources that will reduce carbon, even if it's a little bit at a premium above the cost of fossil fuels, in order to stem the tide of global warming. There's a display out there from Mass Save right now. If you're not aware, you can go to the masssave.com website to sign up for a home energy assessment. They'll come into your home, they'll install LED light bulbs and other things. It'll save you money right off the bat. Every house is different, that's the point. Some homes might need insulation in the attic or in the walls, or they might need a new heating system. You can get a qualified expert who'll steer you in the right direction. Mass Save uses your dollars as ratepayers to National Grid to provide rebates, zero interest heat loan to finance these improvements. I happen to sit on the Energy Efficiency Advisory Council that helps to oversee Mass Save, and I just encourage everybody to participate to the full extent that you possibly can. And at the end of the day, we've saved as much energy as we think we can. We are going to buy energy. In Massachusetts, we have a renewable portfolio standard requiring National Grid and other electricity suppliers to have increasing amounts of renewable energy in their portfolio. It goes up 1% per year. So if Tim wants to show you, right now in 2015 it's 10%. By 2050 it'll be 45%. That's impressive, except we need to reduce carbon emissions 80%, Tim, by 2050. That is what all the scientists are saying we need to do to mitigate climate change, even though it's already on the way. So what's the gap? The gap is obviously 35%. So how do we fill the gap? The state mandate needs to be improved. We're lobbying on Beacon Hill to have that doubled, so it goes up 2% per year. But the next slide is going to show other ways we can do this. So there's the CO2 we're trying to reduce. The portfolio standard gets us to 45%. But there's multiple ways that we can participate as volunteers using our purchasing power. Individuals can buy green power. A city or town can do what's called green municipal aggregation, which I'll talk about in a minute, bringing more renewable energy into the community. The city or state or federal government can buy green power, and all that can help make up the gap of that 35% that we're talking about. Real brief, solar energy. I know that TownGreen2025 has sponsored a program to do group purchasing of solar energy. I strongly recommend you jump on it if you have a south-facing roof that's unshaded. There's a federal tax credit for solar that's due to expire at the end of 2016. We're hoping Congress will extend it, but 2016 is a great year to be buying solar. My organization ran a similar program just a few months ago. In a short period of time, 261 of our members went solar, quite a few in Gloucester, so I just encourage you to jump on this if you possibly can. Mass Energy is a renewable energy supplier. We work with National Grid to provide this to customers in Gloucester, Rockport, and Essex. We offer two products that you can pay for on your electricity bill. That's a premium above the cost of National Grid's basic service, but you can have 100% renewable energy from local resources, and what you pay to us is tax deductible. We can send you a letter annually that helps you write off the cost of that premium. Next slide. I'll say once you do this, even though it's a small premium of about $10 to $20 per month, it's going to be the easiest thing you can possibly do to reduce your carbon footprint. Here are some of the resources. Matt talked about the complex arrangement involving the two wind turbines in the city of Gloucester. To add a little bit more complexity, so Equity Industrial Properties owns the two wind turbines. They sell what's called net metering credits to the city of Gloucester, so the city of Gloucester saves a lot of money on its utility bill, and that's a great thing. But these wind turbines also generate what's called renewable energy certificates. My organization purchases those from Equity Industrial Turbines, and we sell them to customers who sign up for our green power programs. So it's an interesting public-private partnership where there's a for-profit entity, Equity Industrial Properties, and us as a nonprofit, and all that is driving more renewable energy onto the grid. These wind turbines are providing green power that's over and above what's required by state law. We're selling them to customers like you who want to see more renewable energy, so the electricity suppliers who have to comply with state law can't buy those certificates. They have to go out and buy them from another project, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to go above and beyond the renewable portfolio standard in the state, and so we're very proud that we have a 10-year contract to buy the certificates from Gloucester. Also, sort of in the neighborhood, we buy from the wind turbine in Lynn, one of the turbines in Ipswich. Next slide. Here's a fun little graph to show you how the certificates work. Picture the grid is where we're getting all our electricity from. Once we get the wind turbine going, we're adding some electricity to the grid. For every 1,000 kilowatt hours, which is 1 megawatt hour, it's going to earn a certificate. That certificate is going to go into a database. That's where we buy them. And then if that customer wants to buy the certificate, next slide, it goes green. So look, now the house is happy, it's green. That is how we bring more green power onto the grid. So that's essentially what our job at Mass Energy is all about. I want to talk about the city of Melrose is a pioneer. And I think the city of Gloucester, Rockport, and Essex are poised to follow the footsteps very quickly. They hired a company called Good Energy to be their consultant on how they could do what's called municipal aggregation. That's an idea where everybody in the city or town buys electricity from one supplier and can usually get a lower price than what the utility National Grid would offer. But what they decided to do in Melrose was to add a green component. And so Good Energy in Melrose came to us and asked if we could help do that. So in Melrose, every customer is going to get the electricity that complies with state law, but Mass Energy is going to provide 5% more renewable energy per year to each customer. that cost is going to be very competitive with National Grid. Probably be less than what National Grid's going to offer, but it's going to put Melrose 5 years ahead of everybody else in the state of Massachusetts. The town of Dedham is doing the same thing. Here's a display of how it works. Right now, the state law has everybody at 10 renewables in 2015. Mass Energy offers the consumer a chance to be 100%. That's what we do at the bottom. But with municipal aggregation, Tim, we'll add 5% to the city of Melrose and the town of Dedham, and now Melrose and Dedham are going to be 15% green. That's 5%, actually a 50% increase. It's a pretty substantial increase. Next slide. Before I get to this slide, I want to say why 5%? We think it's impressive. 5 years ahead of state law. It's at a modest premium for every customer in Melrose and Dedham, and we believe that they'll be able to save more than the premium for the green power. They're going to come out ahead. We want communities to be ahead of the state, but not so much that they're taking a risk on the market or being that far ahead. We think it's a good balance of cost and benefits. We want buyers to be aware there's a lot of green power offers out there that don't accomplish what we want, which is to bring more renewable energy onto the grid. So it's important if you hire a broker or you buy renewable energy certificates, you know what you're buying. And so as a nonprofit, that's what we're all about. We've seen many communities are going about it the wrong way. Many communities have decided that they're going to go about it the right way. We can get you more information, but the state's leading environmental groups are saying that if you want to buy green power, you have to focus on a certain type called Class 1. And so here in Gloucester, that's what we're asking you to consider. What's a Class 1 REC? It's like the kind that Gloucester's producing with the 2 wind turbines at Equity Industrial Properties. That is how we expand the market for renewable energy. Beyond electricity, we want you to pay attention. This is a mix of energy efficiency and renewable energy. Air source heat pumps are now becoming increasingly popular. Ductless mini splits is another term. They've improved in the last several years. They're getting more efficient at low temperatures like we have here in New England. They cost about $4,000 per unit. Some houses might need 2 or 3. We recommend looking at them in a modular fashion. Maybe you only need 1 or 2. You probably don't need to outfit the entire house. It doesn't have to replace your central heating system. If you have the right kind of layout in your house, it can dramatically reduce the amount of oil or gas you would need to heat your home. So it reduces your fossil fuel consumption. Now it uses electricity, but if you look at the numbers, and we have, it's going to reduce your carbon footprint because the electricity grid is so much cleaner now than it used to be, and it's going to be getting increasingly cleaner. So there's a carbon footprint benefit by switching to a heat pump if you can. But if you're like me or like many of you, if you're buying green power, you can heat your home with 0 emissions, because I get 100% wind power because I'm enrolled in the program where we're buying Gloucester wind power. So you can see how you can kind of close the loop here, and you can heat your home with electricity. Again, we're talking about electrifying your home. You can also electrify your car. That car to the right is my car. It's a Chevy Volt. It's a 2015 car. The 2016 Volt is much better. I just couldn't wait, so I bought the 2015. I got a $7,500 federal tax credit. I got a $2,500 state rebate. I probably paid less for my car than most of you have paid for your cars if you bought one in the last 5 years. The cost to operate it is less. The cost of electricity, even when it's wind power, is less than the cost of gasoline. So every day I drive it, I'm saving money compared to driving on gasoline. It's a huge greenhouse gas reducer. Again, even if you're not buying green power, it's better for the environment to be running on electricity than it is on gasoline. It's a huge improvement to national security. We don't have to go to war to protect the Gloucester wind turbines, right? And if you look at the electricity grid, we have peaks and valleys in the daily use of electricity in New England, in Massachusetts, in Gloucester. I plug my car in at night, which is a good time for the grid to provide me with electricity. We need to have the grid change so that maybe I should pay less because electricity costs less to provide to a customer when it's at night. What I'm looking forward to in the future, maybe within 5 years, during the day when electricity prices are high, I should be able to plug my car back into the grid and sell electricity back into the grid to help meet system demand during the day. So how are we going to get to the goal of that Dick Prouty and TownGreen2025 have? I don't think you get there unless we electrify homes for heating and we drive adoption of much more electric vehicles. So I encourage you to take advantage of looking at the cars that are outside today. The new Nissan Leaf is excellent. The Chevy Volt is excellent. If you have a little extra money in your wallet than I do, you can look at a Tesla. The economies of scale are going to get better and better, but I think this is where we have to go. If you have any questions, you can get me at larry@massenergy.org. Go to our website, massenergy.org. I hope that was helpful to you as individuals or as your community. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Any questions? Yes, sir.
You mentioned the air source heat pumps were on ground source.
Ground source heat pumps might be good for your home. They're more costly to install, especially as a retrofit. They tend to be better for new construction. Our caution is you get 3 bids. With almost anything that costs more than a couple $1,000s, it always pays to get multiple bids. A ground source heat pump is going to cost you a significant amount of money, but it's going to dramatically reduce your consumption of either oil or gas. I will say this though, you got to watch it very carefully. Make sure that the technology and the installer is reputable. There is a fairly high cost to run the pumps on a ground source heat pump, and so your electricity bill has surprised some people. So we're stronger advocates of the air source heat pumps at the current moment than ground source. Tim.
I had a question which was, so Melrose decided to do this municipal aggregation. How does a community decide to do that?
Right.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, Tim asked, how would a community decide to pursue municipal aggregation in the same way that Melrose and Dedham have done? And in the last year, a lot of communities have looked at this because in the wintertime, the last 2 years, our electricity prices have spiked a bit. So a lot of communities are in the process of looking at what Melrose and Dedham have done. So it's a few steps. In a city like Gloucester, that would be a decision of the mayor and the city council. Ultimately, they could make a decision to do that. That's what they did in Melrose, which is a city, but it was all led in Melrose by an energy commission, which you have here in Gloucester. I believe the Gloucester Energy Commission has looked at this and said it's something worth pursuing, and then it has to be brought to the executive branch and then to the legislative branch, it's step by step. You can decide to hire a consultant. In Melrose and Dedham, they hired a company called Good Energy. There are other consultants that are out there. They did an RFP to choose that consultant. The RFPs are out there. You can just borrow one that's already been used. Then you hire the consultant who will help the city or town put it out to bid. So the consultant is not going to be the one supplying the electricity. It'll be a supplier that is competitively chosen. And then the city or town will decide at the end, not the consultant, whether or not to move forward if they like the bids. Then once it's decided that you're going to accept the bid and you're going to go to the aggregation is going to start serving the town, every consumer in the city will be allowed a 30-day period to opt out if they don't want to. So if they don't like the deal, they think they can do better with National Grid or some other supplier, they will have that opportunity. And even after that, there'll be no penalty for a customer to leave the aggregation. So it's very consumer friendly. In our view, when a community does this, it's actually creating a ceiling price for electricity that a consumer can have. Any other supplier is going to have to compete with that price. So it's a strong consumer protection method. Melrose and Dedham are going to add that green component. So in my viewpoint, it covers all the bases that I think that a good, accountable public sector decision would need to consider. Candace.
I'm the chair of the Clean Energy Commission in Gloucester, and I just wanted to say Larry is correct. The Clean Energy Commission did vote at its last meeting to pursue municipal aggregation. That would be working with the executive, the mayor's office, and the city council to decide to go forward. But we are very impressed with the possibilities of aggregation, and I think it would be a big advantage for the city to go ahead.
Right. Dick was just suggesting I repeat what Candace said, which was, yes, she did confirm that the Clean Energy Commission has endorsed the concept. Now it goes to the City Hall, where the mayor and the council will look at that. For those of you from Rockport or Essex, if you're here, I think that's a decision made by, every town's different, it would be the Board of Selectmen or maybe town meeting. Another aspect is that oftentimes cities and towns will combine, and they get group purchasing power that way. So, you know, Salem and Swampscott, for example, are doing something similar as a team. All the cities and towns on Cape Cod are working together in one big compact. So, conceivably, all the communities on Cape Ann could band together and hire the same consultant and hire the same supplier and get some economies of scale that way. Anything else? Thank you.